really affected him.
This is tape too. Since we're starting to talk, I think maybe I'm going to just turn the tape on here rather than miss something. This is tape 2 of our interview with Henry Lux. The interviewers are Joan Bifus and Carolyn Yellen. The date is May 9th, 1972. And I think we can just go right on. We were just
We lost our
saying,
chronology.
and I don't know how our last tape may have some faulty areas. We found our speed was off on the tape there. But we were just discussing the fact with former Chief Lux that we think perhaps that February 23rd incident in front of Goldsmiths may have been a case where he was one of the people in this city that could have made a difference, and we were agreeing with his analogy that it could have been a different thing. This brought us to the matter of the black ministers and his relationship with the black ministers, and I think we were about to get into the fact that there were some meetings during the course of the strike. You were saying that Reverend Frank McRae called. Was he the one who called them together? The meetings you attended?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'll go answer the phone. I'm back, and we're
Okay,
talking.
okay, the meetings with Frank.
We're
McRae.
talking about the meetings called by Frank McRae.
Well, actually, they were not too productive, but I think it was an opportunity for some of the leaders to sit down. We didn't have really any governmental leaders present except Frank Holloman and myself. And, of course, we had mostly ministers. From the other side, I think probably Baxter and Bryant might have sat in on some of them. David Key would probably sit in on one or two of them.
Where were these held? Do you recall?
We had some at the Claridge Hotel, had some at the First Methodist Church.
Were these early in the strike or late?
They were during the strike. It's hard for me to nail down the particular times, but they were at little lulls.
Were they in response to specific situations, or were
Yeah,
they just kind of...
it seemed to me that Frank McRae probably called a couple of them, and there's a possibility of Baxter and Bryant might have had some influence in calling some of them. I'm not sure, but they didn't hurt. I don't think they hurt.
And the black ministers who were there included Ralph Jackson.
Jim Lawson. There was one short minister named Jones, and there was one big African tall fellow. I saw him in Baptist Hospital the other day. Hollered all the way down the hall.
Henry Starks?
No, not Starks. It's another one. Starks was at some of these meetings. This other one, I can't think of his name now. But he recognized me all the way at the end of the hall in the hospital the other day. And, well, I established quite a rapport with these ministers because I marched with them, for so long. We were walking buddies for all this time. And, of course, the theory behind that was that we would let them police themselves. If somebody within the march got out of line, why, I could tell one of the leaders, look,
Did you march on the daily marches?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Every day?
Practically every day. I don't think I missed any of
them. Had you known some of these, the black ministers who emerged as leaders of this, had you known them in your earlier work, your community
I had
work?
some contact with them, yes. In my PR work out of Armour's office, I guess is the best name for it. I had met quite a few of them, and I guess we had established some sort of communication prior to this, to some extent anyway. It didn't particularly bother me. I grew up with Jews, Italians, and blacks. We all played ball together, like 40 years ago. And it was not such a big deal then. It didn't become a big deal until the 50s.
In Whitehaven?
No, in what was known as New South Memphis at that time. This is farther down than McLemore. This is down in Gage, Devant, Mowry, in this area.
Oh, yes, toward the river.
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah, right. To Lauderdale and 3rd Street, in this area, Longview Heights and New South Memphis. I call it.
I was going to ask, had you experienced integration, we're skipping all over, but forgive me.
Go ahead.
Had you experienced integration in the Air Force?
No,
this
we
hadn't
had no
made
integration
any-
at the time
that's-
I was in there. I think this started in 47, 48, didn't it?
Truman did it
Yeah,
after.
Yeah, I
Truman
guess it
did it
did.
after
Right,
the war.
right.
Because remember that story
Of
of
course.
Jesse Turner's being assigned to be a cook in his,
Yeah.
in his
But we
tank
had,
division.
and the area that I grew up in, the neighborhood was segregated, but it was fairly close to a Negro neighborhood. I don't know whether I pronounced that right or not. I've had a hard time getting away from the southern pronunciation, which causes all sorts of problems.
I decided,
I usually think about knee, and if I can say knee, then
Try
I got
black.
it.
That
Black.
it's all those
Black
problems.
solved it for us, I
Yeah,
think.
I think
Those
so
of us
too.
who
And
grew up.
that's and what's so strange is that when I first become a policeman, black was a dirty
It
word.
was the